NHL picks and best bets here on PuckTime. Welcome to WagerTalk TV. Andrew, Carmine, and Bryan with you. We got Bryan here for the full show here. We're going to break down a handful of games together. You guys know what Wednesdays are all about. They're a little bit quieter in the NHL, but you know what? It's a pretty decent slate. We got some beatable games, some bettable games, and I actually have a big play going up today if our system would cooperate and start working on the back end, because I have the analysis ready and rocking, but it's not working. But you guys will get that huge play soon in the back end, and you guys can grab that at WagerTalk. But let's bring in the boys here. Carm, Bryan, good morning to you guys. Carm,
morning.
It's
maybe you need better Wi-Fi
on Wednesday, but how are you?
Get some better Wi-Fi. Maybe that the problem is your Wi-Fi.
Yeah,
it's working perfectly fine for me. An overall even day for me, although NHL was the one down part of the day. A 3% winner with the Anaheim and Columbus game going over the total, which is also your pod play. The $5 customer appreciation, back-to-back weeks where I've lost that $5 customer appreciation play. So I apologize for that. It was a game in which I can't even make an excuse for it. And I was talking to Bryan before the show. I can't make an excuse for it because even the post-game analytics, and I always love to look at that, everything was in San Jose's favor against Calgary. The only thing I did get out of that game was closing line value because it was 130 when I played it and released it, and it closed at 145, 146, somewhere around there, 147. So a lot of people were on the what looked to be a good situation for the Calgary Flames that turned into a very bad situation. So I apologize for that, guys. I will get it next week for you guys. And if you missed that code, because a couple people did email in that they missed the code for the NFL 50% off coupon, even for the people that did not buy the play, it is NFL 50. NFL 50 will get you 50% off of that play. But looking at the games last night, it was a crazy night, Andrew, as you said, of NHL hockey. I was on WagerTalk today. At least I will toot my horn in that one and say that I did give out on WagerTalk today the Edmonton Oilers team total over 3.5 against Pittsburgh. What a game with those two goalies in goal, Stuart Skinner and Tristan Jarry into that one. I don't think either one of them made a difference last night. We'll get Bryan's thoughts on it. Bryan's going to talk not only the New Jersey Devils, but the Vegas Golden Knights. But because Bryan is the only guest today, we brought him on early. So he'll talk about the LA Kings in Florida if he has an opinion on it. And then the Jets and St. Louis Blues. That's how we're going to finish it off. A same game parlay from Andrew, where he has guaranteed me a winner today. So I am so excited about that. The pod play, we are at our highest total right now for the pod play at 65.58. So we're going to try and keep that going. But with that said, Bri, how was your night?
Bryan, I didn't think he was going to stop, man. Guy makes fun of Buster for talking so much. Holy shit. I didn't think he was going to stop.
Yes, but I'm not talking about construction. I'm not talking about construction or picking avocados or working in the tequila plant. I am talking facts. I'm showing transparency that my play was about as useless as Austin Matthews has been all season long. So anyways, with that said, true. Austin Matthews must have saw yesterday's video because I think he did score yesterday in the third period. But then he could have had the empty net goal. And he screwed me over. So,
true. Me too.
Whatever.
What's up, Bryan?
Oh! I finally get my chance.
What's up, Bryan?
Oh man! You said you were waiting for Andrew to give you a solid winner. If you watched any of us yesterday on the show, WagerTalk is very. They tell you what's going on. Very transparent. And I went over yesterday's plays, and if I had to put out a play on every single hockey game, I would have lost them all. And it so happened the four guys who were on the show yesterday all lost. And the guys that had success or guys that weren't on the show, And so I got to apologize to everybody who watched the show yesterday, because if you took any of our information, for the most part, it was a bad night for you. And it was bad for me. I lost both my plays. Had the Islanders on the show, winning 1-0. Thought we were in really good shape. Didn't happen. I had Washington. I thought there was a lot of value on Washington. They get shut out on the road. Yeah, I guarantee we will provide more winners for you today than what we did yesterday, because you'll have those kind of days once in a while. And I'm glad that we can get on here and talk about it, because we want to be as open-minded and as transparent as we possibly can, and which makes us unlike a lot of the other places out there. And I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, Bryan, and then I'm going to go to Andrew, of course, because he's got to get his words in today. It is kind of like getting steps in, on the treadmill. Andrew's got to get his words in, or else he loses vocal cords. But with that said, I always use that analogy. Sometimes you're the nail, sometimes you're the hammer. But the idea is we are supposed to be the hammer a lot more times than we are the nail. So with that said, let's go to the tallest guy on the panel, the nail himself. But he has been hammering, and even hammering the college plays as well too, Mr. McInnis.
Well, I was just going to say, guys, we talk about this a lot. Yesterday, my best bet hit, my only 4% play of my card, and everything else lost. And it's like so frustrating, because we all know how it goes. Like, there's days we've had where you like a bunch of plays. Like, I think it was last Saturday or maybe on Sunday where I liked a bunch of plays and I only gave out 1 or 2. And I'm like walking around the house. My girlfriend's like, "Why are you so pissed off? Like, you went 2-0. And I'm like, because I could have gone like 6 or 7-0. And she's like, "Well, you were never going to give out that many plays." And then, of course, yesterday I'm on Leafs team total, New York Rangers, who, by the way, Carm was right. They're just cursed at Madison Square Garden. I don't know why I went against them or went on them. Point being is, it's one of those funny things where, like, the best bet of the day that I advertised at the website hit, but everything else lost. So it's kind of like that thing where Carm and I talk about, like, when you go 4-1, it's a great thing, but you don't want the 4 or 5% to be the loser. And then sometimes you go 1-4, but if you want to hit one, you want to. So anyway, the one that I hit was the good one to hit at least, but it was still a tough day. So we're in bounce back mode. And I always say this,
Andrew,
these are the days that you want to make money in the NHL. We know the busy days are good. It's like Andy Lang and I say, we always like betting the primetime games. You're laser focused on our props when it's one game and one game only. We've got just a few games on the board for tonight. Let's get it going here, guys. Kings and Panthers, first game on the board. Let's break it down, Carm.
All right, 144 for the Florida Panthers, plus 118 for the LA Kings. Total sits here at 5.5. And I'm seeing, as far as goaltending, we have a confirmation on the goaltender for Florida. It's going to be, oh God, here we go, Daniil Tarasov. Let's hope I pronounced that correctly. And then the goalie for the other one, who's expected, Andrew, and this guy cost me a lot of money early in the season, Anton Forsberg for the LA Kings. While there was injuries to that team, he was in goal. I didn't make any money betting the LA Kings early. I'm not sure if the team sucked or it was just the goaltending sucked, but I lost money there in that one. The first thing you want to do is you want to look at the total here, because you start to look at two teams that are using the number 2 goalies. But in the Washington and Minnesota game, I had a very small play on the over in that one, a lean, and I get 5 goals from Minnesota with the backup goalies in goal, and I couldn't get anything from Washington. Just a goal, Washington. Get me a push. Just a goal. There's nothing more frustrating when you have a total that one team does all the scoring, gets 5. Reminds me of the 7-0 win by Utah against the Anaheim Ducks, where I had over 6.5, and I had needed Utah to get every one of those goals because the Ducks did nothing in that one. Andrew, I still lean to Florida in this one. I get it. The LA Kings are a very good road team, and I think they're starting to turn the corner and play better. But this is one of those ones where the Florida Panthers, I would fade a team in their first game back from a long road trip, but the first game back for them was essentially the game that they played against Tampa Bay in Tampa Bay. So they've been back in the Sunshine State. They could have very well stayed in their own homes prior to that game. So with that said, this is a Florida team that is starting to slowly move up those standings, starting to get better. They're going to get some help when Matthew Tkachuk comes back. And then we'll see if they do a little bit of dancing around that long-term injury reserve with Barkov and get another player in there, because it's going to be there's going to be a lot of guys available, I think, prior to Christmas, the Christmas freeze on the 23rd, where you can't trade anymore. I think it's the 23rd. Give me Florida in this one, minus 144, even with Tarasov in goal. Bryan, your thoughts?
Well, you mentioned it is the first game back home. And yeah, they probably did when they left Dallas on Saturday. They probably went back home and then went over to Tampa on Monday. But did you watch that game? That is the most intense rivalry I have seen. It goes all the way back to spring training or the exhibition games. They had back-to-back exhibition games. Everybody's getting suspended. Everybody's getting beating the crap out of each other the entire time. Their first meeting this year, the same thing happened. Yesterday, even though there was only 2 fighting calls, and it was in the third period, it was a very physical game. And so here they go. They come back home after a real strong road trip, which the only loss they had was in Anaheim, or not in Anaheim, in against the Avalanche in the second of a back-to-back. Florida's playing great hockey right now, but they're going up against a team right now, and the Kings who are playing terrible hockey. But I don't want Florida because of the way they just came off of Tampa Bay. They shut out Dallas 4-0 on the road. That's a hell of an accomplishment. Then they play Tampa Bay, beat them 5-2 in a game that they just dominated. It was very physical. Tampa was never really in that game. And they've got to be feeling pretty good about themselves coming back home here, playing a team in the Western Conference who is not playing well at all, especially offensively. I believe that the Kings' offense has been horrendous. They've scored like 3 goals in the last 4 games or something. They've been in really bad shape. There's going to be a letdown here for the Florida Panthers. And these are still the same, for the most part, the same guys that have been losing a lot during this all this time without the really good players that have been out from an injury. So I'm a little bit interested in the Kings here, but it's got to be a major letdown situation for Florida after the road trip they were just on.
Andrew, we talk about teams coming back from like the East Coast, West Coast, left coast, whatever you want to call it, and that long travel schedule. And, Florida went, you look at Florida's and, they were back in Tampa and they played that somewhat physical game against their rivals. Would you think that with the backups in there, and I'm not saying these backups are terrible. I don't want to say that because the total would have moved by now. But do you feel like this is a spot where Florida could absolutely be flat and the Kings take advantage of it?
Well, I think like Bryan said, like this is a rivalry that's just been unbelievable to watch. One thing I will say from a hockey perspective about this rivalry, these teams are going to play shortly after Christmas again. Mm-hmm. And if the suspensions don't happen or the penalties don't happen, that next game is going to be just equally as chaotic as well. Like we talk about the players having to police the game themselves, which I always love. And I think any true hockey fan loves the fights and stuff. But that hit on Brandon Hagel was dirty and greasy. He got hit. He's got concussion history. And every single time these teams play, something dirty happens, which ends up resulting in the next game, something dirty happening as well. So that just from the hockey perspective, that's kind of annoying when you look at it. But when it comes down to it, I think that probably even plays into the factor, guys, even more when it comes to the letdown spot and the motivational spot, because, the LA game that they're coming off of, that's about as more of a motivating spot the Dallas Stars could have come off of, because they just got the brakes beaten off them by the aforementioned Florida Panthers. So it's kind of interesting, kind of the situation here, because you've got a Kings team that's playing a Stars that played a Stars team that came off a tough game against the very Florida Panthers we're talking about right now. But I think this could be a good spot. And the funny thing is, looking at this matchup over the years, this LA Kings team, whether it's been on the road or at home, there hasn't really been much of a measured home ice advantage for them. Like sometimes going out on the road has been equally as strong for them. So I kind of do lean towards this. Part of me actually leans towards the over, though, just based on Florida's offense. Like we've been seeing Lundell, we've been seeing Reinhart, we've been seeing Bennett. Like these guys have started to step it up quite a bit, a lot more. And if I'm going to use the urgency off a shutout angle, well, LA didn't get shut out, guys, against Dallas, but they pretty much did. Does that angle come into play a little bit here? How would you guys feel about an LA first period in this one potentially? That urgency has to be there for them in the first period. And Bryan, if we think that's going to be a flat spot for Florida, maybe the flat spot comes early on.
I would firmly agree with that. If you're going to play them, the problem you have let's just take a quick look at the current lines. You can get one upwards of 130 if you're looking at LA, but most places are in about the 120 range. If you take a look at the money line in the first period, we are getting roughly the same. Well, no, you're getting a little bit less. You're getting about 110, 1 to 5, 110. So you're getting a little bit less, but I would have no problem with that also. If they are going to be in this game, as the game goes on, being on the road, obviously the home team has the advantage, especially the way Florida's playing. So, yeah, that may be the way they attack it.
Carm, what do you think? First play, first period?
Yeah, I could see it. I wouldn't want to talk anybody off of taking the LA Kings if they like it. My lean on Florida is just based on the fact that, they're coming back. They're starting to play, I think, better as a team. I look at some of their analytics, and they seem to be getting better.
They do, yeah.
So, with that said, this is a team that's they've won back-to-back cups. They haven't lost players. They have lost players to injuries. But at the end of the day, they're going to position themselves. They don't need to win the division. They don't need to win the Atlantic. They don't need to finish second. They just need to make the playoffs. And this team will make a run to the Stanley Cup again because they have guys in that dressing room who've been there the last couple of years. The last 3 years, they've been to the Cup final. So with that said, we'll see what comes of it. But I expect them to definitely be a bet on team. And the price just seems low. But if Bobrovsky was in goal, Bryan, Andrew, would you think if Bobrovsky was in goal tonight, that the line is probably at least 10 cents higher, 15 cents maybe?
I think Florida's one of the teams you can probably classify that it makes a difference. I know, Bryan, you said you don't really measure the goalies as much as you prior years, but I think that Florida probably is one of the teams, both Florida teams. Carm, the Panthers and the Bolts are probably two teams. Would you agree, Bryan, like this team in specific?
I look at two different things: goals against average and save percentage. Goals against average, your better goalers are less than 3. Save percentage, your better goalies are less than 9 or more than 90% or better. Bobrovsky's got a 0.887. So even though his goals against are on 2.8, the drop off isn't that much to me. And in Forsberg, as was mentioned earlier, he's got a little bit less. He's got a 0.83 or 0.893, but he's got a goal against average of 2.82, which is basically the same as Bobrovsky. So I don't think it makes much difference here in this one. But it's a good point that if you like LA, I would add that first period. I think that's probably a pretty good bet.
And Carr makes a really good point about the Florida Panthers, the players. Like it's starting to get to that time now where Matthew Tkachuk is going to be an Olympian. It almost feels like he's been out just so perfectly in time to make the Olympics. But when we're looking at futures right now, like guys, it's been so cool to watch. And I know I've talked about it a lot, but it's cool for us to mention here on the show how close the entire league is overall. But specifically that Atlantic division, how crazy it is. Like there was a possibility yesterday, and you guys know, obviously I follow Montreal the closest. If they won their game yesterday, they could have been first in the division. If they lost, which they did, if everything else went accordingly, they actually could have got out of a playoff spot. That's how crazy the thing is. So think about it. Kachuk is going to be back, and then Barkov could come back for the playoffs. But all of this stuff being considered, like Carm, you're spot on with that. They're looking better. Their metrics look good. And the eye test, not just the metrics, the eye test of watching the Panthers games, they just look like a better team. So what's funny is you look at the Atlantic right now. Are the Red Wings going to sustain what they're doing, guys? I don't know. And then, of course, you look at this Bolts team. You look at the Habs. You look at some of the Bruins. Nobody saw this coming from the Bruins, but they're able to do it right now. So we'll see. But the Panthers are coming, and they're just heating up right now. Want to mention the website, guys. We are experiencing some difficulties. We have a great tech team at WagerTalk that should be dealt with very, very, very soon. We can get all of our packages up and available when they are dealt with, and then you guys can grab our plays and grab our packages. Of course, we have our plays here right now.
I blame Lawrence somehow, some way. He's responsible for this. So
he skied over the power line.
Bryan, before we get to this New Jersey and Vegas game, so yesterday I went out to grab a quick bite in a brew and watch the first period of the Leafs game. It literally a couple blocks from my place. There's like a Wild Wings, and I go there and I send Andrew a picture because they put this picture up on the screen, and I don't have the image to show you guys, but it is a question for you and Andrew. I could not believe they listed the 5 worst teams in overtime and shootout games. And from left to right, these are the teams. The St. Louis Blues, 0-7 when a game goes to overtime. The Pittsburgh Penguins, with that talent that they have as well, too, 1-9 in overtime. The Chicago Blackhawks, with Bedard, of course, 1-6. The Washington Capitals, 1-4. And the Colorado Avalanche, 2-7. So these teams, if they haven't played each other in a game that's gone to overtime, these teams are combined 5-33 in overtime. If there was ever a sign that 3-on-3 in a shootout is a skills competition, and there's a tremendous luck involved, 5-33 when you have Pittsburgh in there, you have Washington in there with some good shootout specialists, and the Colorado Avalanche. Unbelievable. Any thoughts on that, guys?
Yeah, Vegas was that way until they got Mark Stone back too. They had lost, I believe, 7 of their first 8. And when you look at these teams, when it comes to playoff time, the first thing I do is I get rid of every overtime out, every game that went to overtime, because you're not going to get that in the playoffs. So just look at how the teams did in the regular season for the first 3 periods, and you could tell how good the teams are. And you had mentioned some teams like Colorado being that bad, or some of these others. Can you imagine Colorado in the games they're not going to go to overtime in the playoffs? This could go down as one of the greatest seasons in NHL history for that team. And you got to look at every team individually. And my wife and I, when we see a game going to overtime, we look at each other and we go, "Oh shit, we're dead now." But they've been able to, they've been able to survive in the last week or so with those, whereas in the week before they didn't. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. It's nuts. Don Buster talked about it last year about like getting so unlucky, and I was the same last year as well too. Our games, when they went to overtime, our teams would lose. Like, look at what it's done to Buster. You'd find it hard to believe the guy's only 25 years old, but look what all those OT losses have done to that guy. He looks like he's 70. But Andrew, you're gonna love this because you're a young guy. So this is a bit of a warning for you. I just going to mention this, and then Bryan, we're going to go to the New Jersey Devils in Vegas. Is at the bar yesterday, Bryan, I sit down and I ordered some wings and a Coors Light, and a guy sits down beside me and he just starts chatting. He's like, "Yeah, it's my anniversary tonight." I'm like, "Oh, hey, congratulations, happy anniversary." He goes, "Where's your wife?" He goes, "She's at home." This guy, it's his anniversary, and he's at the bar having drinks while his wife is at home. Andrew, do not do that with your better half. Whatever you do, Andrew, do not do that with your better half. or you are going to be sleeping on the couch. We've lost Andrew. He's either gone for a coffee or I'm not sure. Anyways, Bri, with that said, New Jersey. Oh, look who. Yeah, I'm here. He's back.
The world is treating Andrew pretty bad today, I got to tell you.
No. I just know when Karma's not going to talk to me for a while, and I have the powers to disappear.
Settle down there, Don Johnson. Brian, Vegas 183, the New Jersey Devils plus 150. Total sits here at 5.5. Where are you going with this one?
Well, first of all, it's somewhat of a quick revenge game for New Jersey as Vegas shut them out at home 3-0. I believe that was the second of back-to-back shutout losses at home for New Jersey. I still have some concerns about the New Jersey offense, although 3 of the last 4 games, they put up 4 goals. So maybe they're starting to learn how to play together, similar to with Florida in that regard, without some good players. But Vegas is a team that plays better when they're behind. And there was an article, there's a guy I follow in Vegas, Sinbin, I believe it's Sinbin, on Twitter. And he broke it down. He said, when Vegas is tied or winning, their odds of scoring the next goal are lesser than if Vegas gives up a goal. And I've seen that a lot because for a long time this year, Vegas would give up the first goal of the game and we're playing from behind. And they would play from behind the entire game. And sometimes they couldn't get over the hump. Other times they were able to get that quick goal. But if I'm playing this one, I'm looking at New Jersey early because they did get shut out, but they are scoring a little bit more now. And Vegas does not score a lot of goals. The first goals at home, it's as good as Vegas is. They've been playing come from behind all year long. Jersey to score either the first goal or Jersey in the first period would be the way I would look at this game. It's more important for Jersey to get on the board than Vegas is because Vegas knows they have that defense. And Jersey's defense is still pretty good, but they're the team more in need than Vegas is right now. Keep in mind, Vegas has been home for a long time, and then they've gone on the road and had that successful road trip. First game back, obviously. We've talked about that in the past. So, yeah, I'm looking for New Jersey early on, a way to play them, either first period or to score first if that's available. Something in that range in this matchup.
Yeah, it is interesting here, guys. Like, no Heischer, no Hughes, Meyer away from the team. And then you've got some potential stuff here with the Golden Knights. But 2 power plays that overly, even without some top guys, I can respect some pace that these guys play with. It's pretty good. And it's kind of funny because you guys know that theory I love, the off a shutout type of theory. And which is kind of funny because it's not like it's the next game, so to speak, but it's the next time these teams are meeting, as we just talked about. So it's kind of interesting that way. It's like, well, it's not like it was 2 months ago. It was just on the road trip that Vegas just participated in. But it's also, how fresh is that in the mind of the New Jersey Devils? How much do they care? How pissed off are they? I think across all sports, all leagues, no matter who you are, I know when I was growing up playing sports, there were certain teams I hated more than others, Remember that, oh man, that game I had against this team, I didn't play very well. And I think that could be the case for New Jersey. So I think looking at this, maybe you could look towards the play, like Brian said, New Jersey first goal, or potentially a goal in first 10 minutes, something like that, to see a sense of urgency. Also, Carm, I'm not sure if you had a chance to look at it, but it's kind of fun sometimes to look at, the past numbers for the XG. And I think when I look at that past game, there was some decent goaltending there. And I know we have been seeing more consistent goaltending here, but I know that I've talked about this in the past, but I just love the idea when teams play each other twice in a short period of time. There's a lot of times we see one game go under, one game go over. Not as much like it's like we know, guys, rapid revenge doesn't always mean revenge. Must win doesn't always mean will win. But I do think that teams don't like, getting embarrassed by the same team twice. And so the Devils are dealing with injuries, but good teams have depth here, Carm. It's kind of interesting to look at, like, who can be the secondary options that can step up for the New Jersey Devils.
They're going to need one. The good news is, I think the Pesci returns. He was on the team that traveled. He was in the skate and full contact gear, so he returns to the lineup for the Devils, which is a big, obviously a big plus for them. They got to get back Jack Hughes. Andrew, I did some deeper diving into this because I was looking at what, man, it always looks like I'm crooked there. I was doing some deep diving into today's pod play, which I'll talk about later. But if you want to talk about how one player out of the lineup on a team that normally doesn't score a ton of goals can hurt you, Jack Hughes is the perfect example. You know, he played the first 17. He played 17 games this season, Andrew, and the team scored 58 goals. So they were averaging 3.41 goals per game with Jack Hughes in the lineup. In the 16 games that he has missed, they've scored 39 goals, 2.44 goals per game, a drop off of nearly a full goal for 19 goals less that they've scored. And he has 10 goals and 10 assists on the season, 20 goal contributions. It pretty much matches up and shows you that they haven't replaced a Jack Hughes. You can juggle the lines the way you want. They need him back into that lineup. So we'll see what happens. I've of all the injuries I have seen players miss, the one that gets me, and I understand it, a finger injury and a freak finger injury, Andrew, as you mentioned, I think on previous shows. I get it. The hands are the most important part of that shot sometimes as far as accuracy goes. So next man up mentality, I don't think it's really been there for New Jersey. The replace a guy or find secondary scoring, I don't think it's been there for New Jersey either. And that's what makes this Eastern Conference up for grabs. I think the West is going to come down to 3 teams at the end of the season, maybe possibly 4. But I think it's Colorado, Dallas, and the Vegas Golden Knights are the 3 teams that are going to battle for who makes it to the Stanley Cup Finals. The East is wide open. Any of the 8 teams or a couple of teams sitting outside of the playoff line right now could represent this Eastern Conference because I think in a 7-game series, there is no one dominant team right now in the Eastern Conference. Andrew?
It's just extremely competitive. And like from a futures perspective, it's hard right now to look at taking one of the favorites. It really is. I mean, you guys, you can never really count out a team right now from somewhere warm. Vegas, Tampa, Florida, all of those teams. I mean, obviously Vegas isn't in the East, but yeah, shout out to all the non-tax teams, Bryan, that are playing very well.
So,
I know you love that argument. But you know what? Tampa Bay guys, I think they've seen the success Florida had, and they're like, hey guys, don't forget about us. And then everybody else in the league is like, screw you, Florida teams. We want somebody else besides these Florida-based teams to start winning. But I guess my point is that, like, I think that you take a look at a metropolitan team like the Devils or whoever for a future, because look at what the Metro has done lately, guys. Like Washington last year, they beat Montreal in the first round. Then they just get waxed in the second round, and you look at Carolina, they've been good every single year. They go to the playoffs and they're not able to get over that hump. So maybe it could be a pretty good idea to take a look at that division because they've gotten a lot better. So we'll see. Go ahead, Bryan.
Just wanted to point out that there's 16 teams in the NHL that have more victories than the Vegas Golden Knights because they go to overtime so often and they picked up that 1 point. I would say Minnesota is a team that can win it all coming out of the West also.
And they went for it with that trade too.
Yeah. There's nothing more disheartening than you have money on a team, you're watching the game on TV, and it goes to overtime. And I think I talked to Bryan about this, the Vegas Golden Knights one, and then they flash up on the screen. The Vegas Golden Knights are 0-6 in games that have gone to overtime. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. Come on, man. It is just
it's a crapshoot when you get to overtime. Yeah. I like the 3-on-3. But when it started off, when guys were just going back and forth, it was fun. Now they're just limiting their possessions. Don't turn it over. And it's not the fun that it was when they originally planned it.
100%. 3-on-3. And you know what? I cover a junior hockey team where I live, and like it's the same thing. Like it's a possession thing. The players are afraid to lose possession. So if you gave me a shot count for overtime, I would bet the under over is like 2.5. It's pretty much like the third shot of overtime ends up being a goal because it's like they don't shoot it until they have like the perfect chance possible, or like a 2-on-0 breakaway, because they don't want to lose possession, which can be a little bit frustrating. All right, speaking of frustrated, I bet you Winnipeg Jets fans are a bit frustrated because after the season they had last year, they look old, they look slow, and they look like they might not make the playoffs. This division, the Central Division, is pretty competitive as well. I mean, we can talk about every division being competitive, but I don't really know if one is more than the other right now, guys, because a lot of them are so competitive and a lot of these teams have positive records on the year. The Winnipeg Jets taking on the St. Louis Blues. Carm, this team has some ground to make up. They're going to be fiery coming into this matchup. What do you think's the move here against this Blues team?
I think if the Jets, honestly, I have to believe the Jets are going to be better, especially in the second half of the season. They get back probably the most important part of that team in Connor Hellebuyck, and he's going to get a lot of starts in this second half of the season once we hit it, and that's mainly because they have points to make up. But when you look at the games they have coming up, this is one in which they need to go into St. Louis and come out with 2 points. They absolutely need to go. I don't want to call it a must win when we're 35 games into the season, but after this game, they play in a couple of days. They go to Colorado, who have only, I think, lost in regulation, once or twice in 34 games, an unbelievable number. Then they play a couple of nights later against Utah, return home to play Minnesota, who are playing better, and who have a goalie who's pretty good by his own measure in Wallstead. They get the Edmonton Oilers, the Detroit Red Wings, the Toronto Maple Leafs, the Ottawa Senators, the Vegas Golden Knights, the Edmonton Oilers, the LA Kings. Do you see any easy teams in all of those ones that I've mentioned? You could say Detroit, but I don't think so, because Detroit are winning games right now. No matter how they're doing it, they're winning games. This is one in which they have to win this game. Minus 151. I don't want to lay $1.51 though, but if Connor Hellebuyck is confirmed for this game, Andrew, it's one of those ones where I might just split it up. Might take try and take like the puck line and the money line and bring that down a little bit, kind of like the Dave Coken one where you turn it into like a -1 with very low vig. God bless Dave for that lesson that he gave me in this one. But I just have no faith in the St. Louis Blues right now. If you asked me that question, 10 days ago, I think on PuckTime, I'm like, I think the Blues are turning it around. Boy, was I wrong. That's pie in the face. Bryan, Andrew, who wants to go next?
I'll go next. You're completely correct. And the lines makers and the betting public have finally caught up with the St. Louis Blues. And I still wouldn't want the Blues here, even at that outrageous number. You pointed out that the Jets schedule. They've got their goalie back. This is a team that had a lot of talent. They were there all year long last year, fell apart in the playoffs. They tend to be doing that lately a lot. They're a very good regular season team. They've only been outscored by 1 goal on the season, whereas St. Louis has been outscored by 37, by far the worst in the league. And that's despite playing 2 more home games than road games. I want no part of St. Louis here. If I'm playing, I'm laying it with Winnipeg. And you talked about the schedule coming up. The players know that. The players know that this is a game they have to have. I think this is a pretty good play here on Winnipeg, even though, yes, I've been fading St. Louis all this time and making all this money on it. They're making you pay for it today with the Jets, but that's the only way I would look at this game.
I kind of like the under in this game, guys. That's kind of the angle I'm looking for. I just think that we've seen spots of the Blues having some offense. It's come and gone. We've seen the Jets, give up chances. We've seen them not get the best goaltending while Hellebuyck was gone. But I just think, look, I opened the segment by talking about old and slow is what this Winnipeg team looks like. I just think that they're incapable right now of winning first to 4, first to 5 wins. I have a feeling that this is going to be a very dragged out, boring type of game. So I kind of lean towards the under. You can pick a team that you think might win, take their opponent under their team total. Something tells me this one will lack some excitement. So we'll see. But I just think that when you're trying to look for some some momentum, when you're a team like Toronto, maybe, or you're a team like Colorado, I guess Toronto doesn't really work, but when you're a team, that has offensive prowess, you maybe look for it with pace and goals. But when you're a team like Winnipeg, I think the best thing that you can look for is defense. They'll probably try and do that as long as they can. But yeah, Brian, the price is interesting to look at. And I get it with you, Carm, saying the same thing. Like, you got to try and find a different way to play it, right? And so for me, I kind of just lean towards the under in this one. And I gave out the under in the one they had against the Senators. And the funny thing is they ended up losing that game. Like, they kept it as an under when they can, but
3-2.
The XG wasn't even that good. So it favored the over. So we'll see. But I still don't think this team is playing how they want to be playing. I think long-term, in order to have any success, this team has to be an under team. And I believe that.
You guys know that if this game goes to overtime, after me reading off those stats that the St. Louis Blues are 0-7 in games that have gone to overtime, that they are going to win tonight in overtime. If that game goes to overtime, they either get their first one or they become or solidify their worst record in OT and go to 0-8 in overtime and shootouts. But with that said, Andrew, everyone is and Kurt in the chat wanted to know, he's late coming to watch the show, whether I gave Bryan the business on the show about the New York Islanders, Detroit Red Wings yesterday. No, I didn't, Kurt, and it's mainly because my day in the NHL wasn't very good. So I can't flex when I have nothing to flex with. But with that said, Andrew, you've promised us a same game parlay winner. Now, Andrew didn't actually promise us. I am putting him under the gun here and saying that he promised us. Give us a winner, Andrew.
Carm, I have 4 picks that you guys can cipher from, but overall, this is the best prop game on the board, and by no coincidence, it's a very big coincidence. It's the game with a 6.5 as the total. We've got Utah and we have Detroit in this one. We've got all players to get at least 1 point. DeBrincat, Raymond, Sergachev, and Schmaltz. That equals plus 400. Some books plus 395. And, make sure you shop around with these guys, because I'll tell you what, when I look at these player props, some of the websites that I use, and on my show, The Pre-Scout, I've been talking about the HOF app, which I use quite a bit. It will actually tell you when you're looking at a prop and you're breaking it down, okay, this book has this price, this book has this price. And I'll tell you what, guys, like if we talk about on money lines and totals to shop around for the best price, could only imagine, the money people are losing or, not saving, like talking about a goal scorer. Like there's goal scoring props that are plus 225 at some books and plus 160, 170. Like it is a massive difference. So DeBrincat, Raymond, Sergachev, and Schmaltz, I like those. And here's the sprinkle, guys. And this one might make me look a little bit crazy, but here's the sprinkle. This is kind of the bargain bin special, to quote Alex B and Ian Cameron. Plus 750, Mikhail Sergachev goal. For whatever reason, Detroit gives up the bottom or the top 5 most goals against defensemen. And Sergachev is one of the best defensemen on Utah, but his goal prop is plus 750. So that's kind of the angle we're taking a look at. I haven't been doing as many shot props. If you guys want to sprinkle on Sergachev shot props, you can. But that's why I decided to take him in the point prop. Plus 750 for Sergachev to get a goal. It's, it's one of those ones where you're just playing the matchup here, guys. But I do like that game. And I think if you're playing props today, that's probably a game you want to look at. And really quick, not to go long, I apologize, but that Vegas-Detroit game, watch the lineup information, because If Eichel and those guys are in, then it affects the props. If they're out, you can make some money with props on the guys that will have to step up. And you guys know how it goes as far as that's concerned. Back over to you, Carm.
Yep. Hopefully Mitch Marner gets some points because I did give him props yesterday when I was talking about Austin Matthews. Andrew, I got so much flack from my friends. I'm surrounded by Leaf fans here, unfortunately. I dropped that video clip into a bunch of WhatsApp groups, and they were after me like, these guys they don't get it. My friends who are fans, and this isn't to people in the chat or people watching this video later who are Leaf fans, my friends who are they're like reality with the Leafs just does not exist with these guys. They seem to think that they're always one player or two players away from winning the Stanley Cup, and they are far from it. I made a prediction yesterday to them, and I said that Austin Matthews will not be in a Leaf jersey at the end of next season. He's either they're going to trade him. I think at this point, the Toronto Maple Leafs understand that they don't have a team that can compete. Their coach blew a gasket on behind the bench, Andrew. I'm not sure if you saw that with Craig Berube. He absolutely blew a gasket. But anyways, speaking of blowing gaskets, let's not blow one with this pod play. Today's pod play. Yesterday was a winner with the Anaheim-Columbus game over. We are going to take an under tonight, and we're going to the Vegas Golden Knights and New Jersey Devils game. As I mentioned, Jack Hughes out of the lineup. This team is averaging 1 goal less per game, from 341 down to 244. The Devils are 17, 15, and 1 to the under, 11th best in the NHL. The Vegas Golden Knights, 16, 13, and 2, also profitable to the under. They are 9th overall, under 5.5, minus 115. 3-1 final for the Vegas Golden Knights tonight. That would work for everybody. So let's try and hit this pod play and get that total up. We are up 30% on the year from our starting bankroll. Let's keep it rolling, boys.
The pod. Shout out to the pod play. Carm, you keep on rolling, one play a day. You told us at the start of the year you're going to show people how it's done, and that's what you've done with that play of the day. So that's the late night game as well, guys. It's a late night game. Brian, what do you have going today at WagerTalk? You told me it was more of a quieter day in hockey, is it? Or what's going on with you?
Yesterday we stunk, but I do have a big 4% play going, and I was able to squeak it in with my lousy internet here in Las Vegas. We can't get the King package in like they got in Toronto with Carmine. He's always blaming everybody else's internet, but the site is having some problems. But I was able to get a 4% play up in the NHL. I've got 2 plays in college basketball right now. Been really nice run in college basketball, and I'm sure I'll have more. But as was talked about, they're having some back end issues on the site. Hopefully, you can get the plays that are up there now. But if not, come back in an hour or so, and some more will be up there. And looking to get a lot better day than we all had yesterday. So, congrats on your 4% yesterday with Andrew, but the rest of us didn't have it. And let's see if we can get you some winners today.
Brian, that's the great thing about this show, Brian, and shows in general on the WagerTalk TV platform, is that people aren't tuning in every day to watch guys flex, smack themselves on the back. We know that this is a marathon. It's not a sprint. We're going to have days like we did. We fess up to it. We move on. And hopefully at least some of our thought process in the games that we cover, like the 3 that we did today, people can sort of get a feeling for what we do to get to the end part, which is what we like in the game and how we got there. And if that helps them become better handicappers, then that's all that really matters at the end of the day. So we're not stuffing paid plays down your throat. With that said, Andrew, I have nothing up at WagerTalk. I will have some plays up early afternoon. But for me, that's it. I'm hoping for the pod play, and I'll send it over to you to let us know what you have going and close it out.
Yeah, Carm. So I did a 5% analysis last night. Before I got the write-up published, I fell asleep after doing the analysis. Then I wake up this morning, have an appointment. I go to post the analysis all morning, and the server is down. So you guys will have to wait, but at some way, shape, or form, I will have a 5% play going today. And when it does work, I have a promo code already set up, which is save 15. So you guys can use that to get $15 off the play, or you can go with Bryan, Carmine, myself, 3-day NHL hat trick special, $49. One 5% play costs $35. One regular play, $25, and you can get 3 days all plays for $49. And we say this all the time, guys, and we're not trying to be these people, but like, it's just sometimes tiring to look across social media when you see people that it just seems like they always win. I promise you, these people are not winning 95% of their bets, because if they did, they would be on an island somewhere having someone serve them drinks and just cater to every need and living the best life they possibly can. They are not winning 99% of the time because they tell Twitter that they are. So just be careful. I see a lot of people talk about people on Twitter and different handicappers and stuff. I'm not trying to be that guy. I never wanted to be that guy. I always try and be a positive person and a nice guy on these shows, but it can be real frustrating because this industry is turning into a lot of, if you don't say that you hit 70% winners, somehow you're the loser here. But we're just trying to be honest. So love doing shows with these two guys, Carmine and Bryan. Always a fun time. And it is kind of a hidden gem of a slate in the NHL today. Let's make it a good one, guys. Let's bounce back. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you tomorrow. Same time, same place, right here on Puck Time.